boys and girls. So today we're going to take a look at an engine part here. This is a CB aluminum case. And this one's got some special features to it that some of the other brands don't have. CB actually has it casted for them from Auto Linear. Now, a friend of mine was over just a little bit ago and he was looking at it and noticed that there were some things different than his. The main difference that you're going to see compared to an MP or Keeltech or whatever the other ones are is they might all be casted by Auto Linear, probably all are, but the difference is CB has their decks raised. Now what that means is you can see right here how much taller this sits off the case, like a stock case, right? When a bug case would be machined pretty much almost flat with the side wall of the case here. So CB's has these up to 9 millimeters, 9.5 I think, but I know definitely 9 millimeters, 7 millimeters, 3.5 millimeters. And basically they probably all start out as a 9 millimeter case and get machined down. This one is raised 3.5 millimeters from stock. And what that does is you don't have to use as thick of a shim underneath the cylinder when you put a stroker crank in there, or a much longer rod. And when you do a long rod stroker motor. But the problem is, the more you keep pushing this all out, the farther your cylinder head gets out, your fan shroud does not grow. So that's something always to keep in mind when you're doing that, is you can put the cylinder head so far out that getting the air from the head, from the fan shroud to the head becomes a problem, because there's only a small area where the deflectors are for the air to flow to the heads, and you keep moving it over and over and over, and you're going to eventually run out of room. So you can build it as wide as you want, but you got a problem with the fan shroud. So that's the first thing here. That's definitely different than any of the other brands. I don't know of any other brands besides maybe a Todd Francis case, TF1, that would have something like that. A TF1 case is a total different ball game in my opinion. Very good product. Everybody that's ever had one's had good reviews about that. So these cases are raised, right? Now what that really means is they're filled in here. All right, they didn't really take the top and move it up. What they did is this is casted in more here. So it's kind of more of a filled in area than raised. But what that does is it allows you to put a bigger stroke in here without breaking a hole through the top. If you look at my clearancing a case video, and I talk about how with a stock rod and an 80 stroke, it gets really close to blown through. Well, those areas are filled in now on this type of case here. Most of the aftermarket aluminum ones have a raised roof. Really, it means there's more material on the top. So, next thing here is this back webbing here. Notice they machined it. It's thicker than stock. I don't believe the other ones are that way. This is a good example, as you can see how much material has been added here, where they had the mill for the oil cooler. Another problem to look into is a lot of people complain about the stock clamp having a little issue on these aftermarket aluminum cases because of where they're machined here. The bracket will hit there. Something to keep in mind. The CB case is a little cleaner, in my opinion, than all the other ones that I've seen. When these aluminum cases first came out almost 20 years ago, they were really rough. Like, they would cut your hand if you rub it. The CB one's pretty close, not like a stock a stock magnesium case. They're not that smooth. I do plan on going through with a cartridge roll and knocking a lot of these edges off, getting the stress risers off. This case has been modified from CB for another thing. You have to call them and ask for this. This has been cut for a flanged crank. And a flanged crank has a flange on the back instead of the dowel pins. Kind of like a Chevrolet or an American car or any other vehicle in the world actually bolts on the flywheel with 6 nut bolts on this one instead of 1 gland nut. The backs of these cases are filled in here. As you can see, this area right here is completely solid. All right. They also do add some more material in little other areas here, it looks like, but mainly right there behind number 3 is completely filled in. Let's lift this off and look inside. Oh, that's hard to do one-handed. Next thing too, lifter bores. They add material around the lifter bores on these. Let's see here. You can see it's got more material than a stock one around the outside here. You can see the base of the cylinders are filled in much more. There's usually like an opening here and an opening here. All right. You can see there's more material at the top that they filled in all up in here. All right. There still is an air passageway through here. Still an air passageway through here. It does not go straight to the top. Just more material where the stroke would be. And then you can see they took their CNC cutter in here and clearanced it for an 86 stroke. And also in here, if you're going to clearance your own case for a stroke or crank, look at all the places that we got clearancing. You can see that they clearance down here because your rod nut comes through there. Same thing over here. This case has also been modified for split bearings. You can see we have a little nibble there for the detent. A little another nibble there for the detent, the tang, I guess you could call it, on the bearing. All right. Even the bottom of the case looks like it has a little extra material casted in to me. You can see the chamfer the edge of that relief hole, which is usually a really small hole. All right. They do not do the Hoover mods on these, and those are debatable. My question on that is, if it really worked the way Bob Hoover said it did, how come none of the off-road guys in Class 5, Class 11 ever talked about doing it where their motors sit at 45, 6,500 RPM? You know, just wondering. Anyways, it has 6 dowel pins. I mean, 6 shuffle pins, not dowel pins. All right. It has the tangs for the bearings in it right here. It also has a really horrible pickup tube. All right. I suggest you take this out and put the stock style replacement one where it comes in and it flares out to a big flat disc looking thing. Everybody says that these are horrible, so don't take the chance. I've already bought the one that has the tube already welded on it, basically from CB, that you have to cut, because that's what I'm going to use as the deep sump. But this is a good example where you can see where it's all filled in here. This is all solid. All right, you can see it's all thicker here. All right. But that's pretty much it. They milled nice flange out here. If you were to do a sand seal, it looks like it would be a much cleaner look. I don't believe I'm running a sand seal on this. If I do, I do have, a friend of mine has the cutter. But that's about it. It's pretty smooth compared to some of the other ones. Like I say, there's still a little casting flash I want to come in here and take out. It comes with the grooved cam plug milled in there. That is something that some of the stock later cases had a rubber cam plug and they had no groove here to locate it. So something to keep an eye out for. Stock cases magnesium cases are really hard to get right now. I've heard rumors that there was legal proceedings being the reason why. Also, of course, it's 2022. Things just are harder to get. But anyways, boys and girls, that's the look at the CB aluminum case, raised deck, 3.5 millimeters. This one will be going in our 2286cc motor that we will build this year on the channel. We still have a few more parts to get. We have the crank, we have the rods, we have pistons, we have cylinders, and we have the heads, which we'll take a look at those in another video. And we have the deep sump now. I believe I have the oil pump. There's just small little bits of things to get. First, we need to clean up the case and get everything cleaned. Still have to put everything together and check clearances before we can make a running motor. But big deal is depending on what I'm going to run for push rods. I don't know if I'm going to do heavy duty aluminum or if I'm going to do old fashioned chromoly. I'm still making that choice. But this will be a fun little motor for us to watch build. And this will be fun.